Welcome to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss news and views about pop culture, science fiction, fantasy, food, cooking, the outdoors, and more. I'm doing a follow-up to my video from the other day regarding the reviews for Amazon's Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, because apparently Amazon is now claiming that on the first day that there was a record audience size when the show premiered. I'm not actually surprised by that. However, it's very important to bear in mind that Amazon is trying to play up just how many people may have tuned into the show, but there's a few little pieces of information that are missing from this claim. And in fact, this is actually the first time that Amazon has actually attached a number to any of its programming on their streaming service. So Amazon says The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power was its biggest series debut ever. And for the first time ever, the company's Prime Video streaming service has actually released a viewing tally. The company says 25 million people worldwide watched The Rings of Power on its first day of release. Prime Video says that it is the service's top premiere ever. Well, I wouldn't be surprised that so many people were interested and curious in tuning into this because there is a very broad Tolkien fan base throughout the world. But that doesn't necessarily mean that these people actually liked what they saw. And we're going to get to that in a minute here. As for context, there's little to go on. Prime Video reps declined to say whether that's an average viewership worldwide on day one, the number of people who watched at least a few minutes of the series, or something else. Nor is there any indication of how much bigger The Rings of Power was than the previous record holder on Prime Video, or even what that show was. So yes, this is just a number that Amazon has thrown out in an effort to continue to try to control the narrative of how wonderful this show is. At least that's what they want everyone to believe. But, you know, there are some things going on that don't quite line up with that claim or their view that it's doing very, very well. Prime Video says the series launched in some 240 territories worldwide. Dividing 25 million by that number would average out to a little more than 104,000 viewers per territory. A rosier spin would be to note that Amazon has about 200 million Prime members worldwide who have access to Prime Video streaming. That would mean 1 in 8 Prime members checked out The Rings of Power on its first day. So conceivably, yes, a lot of people were curious and a lot of people tuned into it. But what is Amazon doing with regards to people's abilities to actually rate what they have seen? And how long did people actually watch this show? These are questions that aren't being answered by Amazon. However, Amazon's behavior is painting a very different picture. Because all we have to do is to come over here and see that Amazon had suspended ratings for The Rings of Power. So let's take a look at the page on IMDb. It's been a couple of days since I did that other video. Have any other reviews popped up since I did that video? The total rating has gone up to 6.8 when it was 6.5. And claims that there are 99,000 votes. However, when we drop down here to look at the written reviews, lo and behold, what is this number? 74. This is the same number of reviews as when I did the video a few days ago. And here's a brief clip from that video. And this user rating of 6.5 out of 10, I consider to be highly dubious. And there's a simple reason for that. If we scroll down here and take a look at the actual written reviews that have been posted, this claims that 74 reviews have been posted. Does anybody actually believe that absolutely no one has posted more reviews to IMDb over the last 2 days for the Rings of Power? I certainly don't. So IMDb is an Amazon-owned company, and it has completely suspended new reviews from being posted for the Rings of Power. They're not even allowing any new positive reviews to show up, and they're certainly not allowing any negative reviews to show up. And I showed that in my other video. This is still just the same BS that's been going on. But I will show that the total number of helpful votes that these reviews are getting isn't too good. So here's a 7 out of 10 video, and only 1,124 out of 3,000 people found that one to be helpful. Here's a 9 review. Only 1,036 out of 3,500 people found that one to be helpful. And here's one that gives it a 10, and nearly 2,100 people found it helpful out of over 5,900. Yeah, so less than half of the people who are responding as to whether or not these reviews are helpful or not are saying that they are helpful. The vast majority are still saying that they are not helpful. So let's come over here and take a look at another website, because this one's kind of interesting, and I didn't cover this one in my previous video. Metacritic. And according to Metacritic, the user score for Lord of the Rings of Power is 1.9 out of 10. Let me repeat that. The Metacritic score for the Rings of Power is 1.9. And I love this comment here. Overwhelming dislike based on 985 ratings. This is precisely what Amazon does not want you to see. They do not want you to see how hated this show is. The reviews that I shared in my previous video, no one had anything good to say. The vast majority were talking about how boring the show is. And I went and even looked at some of the written reviews, because like on Rotten Tomatoes, you can view the reviews here. And if you click on it, you can see what these reviews are. Oh, here's a review of 0. Tolkien's universe tainted by current political agenda. The episodes are boring and very little happens. Long scenes and insignificant events just to pass time, and super short fighting scenes to spare money. Yeah, this is not a good show. Has nothing to do with Tolkien's work. Very typical modern show, expensive, shiny wrapping, covering an empty box. Nice visuals with a nonsensical plot, badly written dialogue, and mediocre acting. Only worth your time if you are in need of a silent flick running in the background. Not recommended. And here's an interesting one. Hollow plastic. It's pretty mostly, but has no soul. If they had called this Amazon's dull fantasy story instead of lying about it being Tolkien, then it might be tolerable. But making a mockery of Tolkien's work is unforgivable. Galadriel is one of my favorite characters from the books, and what they have done to her is criminal. Galadriel bears no resemblance to the character Tolkien wrote, and was wonderfully portrayed by Cate Blanchett in the Jackson movies. This version is as snotty as the entitled white bread little girl playing the character. No acting going on. And the Elmer Fudd guy with pointy ears is pathetic. The scenes between Galadriel and Elmer Fudd are a joke. The writing, characters, and acting in the show are atrocious. The hobbits are stupid and obnoxious. The show would have been better without them. Most of the dialogue in the show is pathetic. It's like something written for a high school freshman dull writing class. To think thousands of Amazon workers had to piss in bottles so this travesty could be made. The show should not exist. It's a waste of time and resources. Amazon could have done some good in the world with all the money they wasted on this pus-filled pile of moldy garbage. Well, this particular reviewer had no problems mincing words, and people are not happy with this show. I don't know anyone who has actually liked this show, and I'm sure that there are some out there, but the majority don't. That is what is obvious here. So it really is no wonder that Amazon has suspended ratings. IMDb isn't allowing any new ratings. They are determined to control what is going on. This is the sort of action I would expect from an authoritarian type government that is trying to prevent the citizens to know what the truth actually is. This is how Amazon is acting in this situation. And guess what? They still haven't convinced me that I should watch this show. It looks like garbage. And from what most people are saying, I have no doubt that it is. Thanks for watching today, and a huge thanks to everyone who has subscribed to our channel. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and please feel free to share a comment. If you'd like to see more of our videos in the future and help support this channel, please press the red subscribe button, and please press the bell to receive notifications for new content. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter by clicking on the links in the description. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.